Tayde, it's good to be back with you again for episode 2 of Tayde and el Ratón.
El Ratón. How are you, Ratón? Good to see you.
Very well, very well. Good to be with you. You know, I got to have a talk with Ambassador Tony Wayne this week about the USMCA. And I connected with him after reading his quote in the Latin America Advisor. And in case you haven't met him, Ambassador Wayne ran his term in Mexico from 2011 to 2015. And in future episodes of Tayde and el Ratón, I really want us to dig into the USMCA trade agreement,
That's a great idea.
19 and 25. They're really important for us.
Mm-hmm.
So Ambassador Wayne told me something that I think is going to interest you and all the entrepreneurs working on the U.S. Business Association of E-commerce platform, and here it is. Legal trade between the U.S. and Mexico is at about $1 million per minute. So in case you're curious, the top 5 revenue makers are machinery, electrical machinery, mineral fuels, vehicles, and plastics. Okay?
Wow.
So this is big business, Taydazo.
It is big business.
All right. So this week, I want to double down with that in mind on our protagonist narrative, and I want to produce a case study with you. So let's assume that our protagonist, who is hashtag YFF, let's say that she decides that she wants to found a startup in the digital economy, and she lives in San Diego. And she has a service that she believes will have demand in Mexico. So she gets legal representation, she incorporates, she sets up all of her social media, she brands her service, and then she creates a digital storefront on USBAEC. In time, she's going to begin to connect with her clientele. And at some point, her social media is going to pop. And that's when the clientele is going to begin to buy, and she's going to start making annual recurring revenue. So I wanted to take a moment and pass it to you, Taydazo, to sort of explain to our audience why annual recurring revenue is so important.
Well, annual recurring revenue is your bottom line. It's like it's a good indication that your business is going in the right direction. So you have to pay attention to different metrics in your business. And, from a financial perspective, definitely that's one of the most important ones, because you know that things are going in the right direction when your company starts to generate revenue and does it in a consistent basis. So, if you have a software as a service company, a platform like ours, which is subscription based, we have to pay a lot of attention of many different metrics, like from the traffic that we are generating to our site. And that's why it's important what you mentioned earlier about social media, like the different channels that you can use to generate those eyes that might be interested in your product or service. And of course, that you're going to segment or create content in a way that will be attractive to your target audience. So definitely you track all those metrics, traffic to your site, how much time they spend on your website, etc. But at the end of the day, Sergio, it's like how much money you are generating from those eyes into your business. And that's where your annual recurring revenue, which you can track on a monthly basis, is very important.
Absolutely. So our Latina entrepreneur, she's not yet making $1 million per minute through the USBAEC platform, but she is beginning to make money on the internet in foreign countries too, while she sleeps at night. And this is a big step in the right direction. I think anybody who's born in either be it the US or in Mexico, we're sort of institutionalized to follow a path. And that path is graduate from high school, go on to college, graduate from college, go on to corporate employment, work all day, and that's really the path that's been set out for us. But when you're an entrepreneur, that changes, and you begin to see that there's a way for you to pivot from making money while you're awake locally, maybe even sometimes in a brick and mortar operation, to making money on the internet in international markets while you're asleep. Have you had that experience, Tayde?
No, definitely, and that's the beauty of the internet, and that's the message that we've been trying to communicate since 2008. That as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, you have to use the internet as a business tool. It's going to help you to generate that passive recurring income 24/7. You might be playing with your children or reading a book, and your online store is going to keep taking orders. And that's why it's so important for any business of any size to have that online presence, like the website or an online store where they can process these orders. So it's important to have your e-commerce store, but it's also important to look at the market as I'm sorry, to look at your market in a global way, because like say you are in the US, you can be selling to Mexico or any other country in Latin America. And if you can ship a product to Mexico, most likely it's going to be the same process that you're going to have to follow to ship it any other where in the world. And now with like with the logistics or the transportation companies and and the shipping industry being so efficient at moving products across the globe, there is no reason for you as a business owner not to consider internet as a great way to increase your annual recurring revenue in your business.
Absolutely. And that's what every single company that's taking advantage of the USMCA is doing, and that's how you get to these stats of like a million per minute, right?
Mm-hmm.
But back to our case study, we have our Latino entrepreneur, and she wakes up on a beautiful morning. She's in the Torrey Pines area, and she gets a text from Jorge Ramos's chief of staff. And Jorgito wants to do a feature on her business, and that's going to play on the primetime evening news in both the US and Mexico, right? They're calling her the next phenom businesswoman for her idea. They're really pushing this narrative that I created of the hashtag YFF. And they tell her that she needs to be on a soundstage in Miami in 60 days because they want this to go live before summer. So, Tayde, I want us to begin a countdown, right? Like this Latina entrepreneur now has 60 days to really surmount what she thinks is impossible, because even though this is an incredible opportunity, she's just one Mexicana in a bedroom office in Torrey Pines. If this plays out like it could, the USBAEC servers are going to have a meltdown. So I bet you she's going to call you and she's going to say, hey, are we ready to do this? Will we be ready in 60 days? And so, in future episodes, we're going to begin to explain how she's going to get ready over the next 60 days. But I did want to pass it to you and say, how did you handle that type of scale?
Well, in our situation, Sergio, and I'll give you an example. We started with 6 servers in 2006, and we got to a point where we realized that those 6 servers were not going to be enough to provide the same quality service that we wanted to. As soon as it starts getting a little busier, driving more traffic to the site, adding more online stores, more pictures, etc., more content. So we decided to move to the cloud. And going through that process, I can tell you that it was a little overwhelming in the beginning because you have to do a lot of planning for something like that. But we are in a position right now where we can add virtual servers in literally no time to this architecture or online architecture that we have in the back end of our platform. So in the event that something like this happen, where one of our members is going to be showcased by Jorge Ramos and, the great reach that he has, it's going to be pretty obvious that it's going to be kind of like the Shark Tank effect. You go to Shark Tank and all of a sudden your website crashed because you start getting all these orders. So it is important that you prepare for something like that. And I think you and I have talked about this in the past, where oftentimes entrepreneurs just have like a next week or like a next month mentality, and we always have to look at our business in a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year time frame, just so we can be prepared when opportunities like this knock on our doors.
Absolutely. So I can't wait to continue the story with you, Tayde. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's going to be very exciting to see how it develops, those 60 days. And thank you so much for keeping this narrative going, Ratón, and look forward for our next segment.
Órale, amigo. Gracias.
Take care. Adios.